Judge My Accent, a place on Reddit where English learners can get their accent judged.
Wow. So who's my next victim?
I'm just kidding. I'm here to help you and judge your accent so that you can improve your accent and speak more like a native English speaker with an American accent. Let's go. All right, so as you can see, I'm going to be doing an American accent review on a Spanish speaker who has been living in Canada for 12 years. The fun thing about this episode is that one, it's live, and two, I'm also going to be sharing with you how you can use ChatGPT. So if you want to speak, practice your English, and then use ChatGPT to see what kind of mistakes you might have made, this is going to be really helpful. So we're going to start off by listening to this clip, and then we'll go into the Word document and check it out. So let's do this.
Practice. Hello, teacher Jesse. Douglas here. How are you doing today? So this is my practice for you to check my accent when you have a chance. First of all, I just want to say thank you very much for your time and for providing feedback to my request. So I want to talk about my learning process in English. I started learning English around 25 years ago when I was in my early 20s. And it's fair to say that I never had a native English teacher. In my opinion, this is the reason why I have struggled with my accent and pronunciation for years and years, right? Because once you don't have that native pattern to imitate from the very beginning, then the rest is just a struggle and a struggle day after day because basically it's like plowing in the sea. And I've been learning by myself, trying to improve for years. It's also important to highlight that I not only took private lessons or I engaged and enrolled in different kind of uh, formal courses. I also became an English as a second language teacher. I got a degree in language. I went to the university and I finished my 5 years training course and teaching formation, and I got my BA in language. But I never had the chance to interact and speak and communicate frequently with native speakers until I arrived here in Canada. So I've been living here in Canada for 12 years, working with Canadians, native speakers, and interacting with people daily. However, my accent is still behind. I believe my accent is my Achilles heel. I have tried different techniques. Honestly, I haven't tried that much, but yes, I have tried shadowing, I have tried following teachers online like yourself that uh, you know have made me or have they have given me the possibility to improve a little bit, but I'm still behind comparing with the rest of my skills, my knowledge, etc. So this is my practice, and please, when you have a chance, let me know what do you think. Let me know in which area you consider I have to improve regarding accent, regarding intonation, rhythm, or where to put the stress in a word on a sentence, and that's it. Thank you very much, and yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks. Bye.
All right. Thank you, Douglas, for your courage and wanting me to review your accent. So, I'm going to go over a few things that I tell everyone who wants to improve their accent. One, I think I've mentioned it in the last video that I reviewed your accent, but that is focus on one change at a time. Because I know it can be so tempting to say, well, oh, I know I cannot pronounce this correctly. My intonation's off here, this, da, 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 da. And when you spread out your your energy and your focus, it's hard to really master different incorrect patterns or sounds. So That being said, I know it's hard to just focus on one thing if you know that there's more than one thing incorrect, but just focus on one thing. Choose it, master it, get feedback from a native speaker, an accent coach, and then once it's mastered and it has become a part of your natural day-to-day language, then you can move on to the next thing. That's my advice. So I just want to say that because I know for everyone or anyone learning any language and wanting to master the accent, it's so tempting to work on everything. Um, I also want to mention, um, you had mentioned something that I thought, you know what, I should talk about. And that is, you said that you learned from people who are not natives and are not native speakers of English. So you were exposed to possibly like incorrect intonation or English that is not with an American accent. It might be a foreign accent, it might be another one. um, but that is something that you're right. Once you've learned a pattern that is not what you want to learn, for example, I'm going to say incorrect. I hate saying incorrect because American English isn't the only correct English, but once you learn something that's incorrect, okay, for lack of better words, it becomes a habit and it's harder to undo a habit than to originally learn. So you are correct in that sense, but know that it's possible to undo and create correct habits. It's just going to be a little bit harder, well, actually rather harder because of fossilization. So fossilization is when you are learning a language and you hit about an intermediate or so level, and the habits, pronunciation habits, the intonation habits, whether they're good or bad, they start to fossilize. If you think about a fossil, like a rock, it becomes hard. It becomes difficult to mold and to change. So once you've hit that, which I would say that with your level of English, you probably have hit that level of fossilization. It takes more intentional work to undo that, to create good habits, but it's not impossible. So I just want to say that. So I'm going to share my screen right away, and I'm going to be sharing with you guys what you can do if you want to get ChatGPT to say what kind of mistakes you might be making. So I'm going to share my screen. Um, okay, share my screen. I want to share this one right here. All right, so as you guys know, I did a live 2 weeks ago and it didn't work. So that's why I'm so far ahead. I was going to show you guys how to do this. But if you guys have a voice message and you'd like to dictate it, you would like Word document to type what you say. If you have Windows, you click the Windows key and H, or if you have a Mac, you do this. Okay. That's what I did here. So I have Douglas's text here. Um, so we've already done it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this. Wait, not yet, not yet. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ChatGPT and I'm going to take this first prompt, ChatGPT prompt, which I think I'm going to share this. Let me know. Should I share this ChatGPT prompt on my Patreon? Because if I do it on YouTube, YouTube kind of punishes me. Punishes me. It does. Because people click off and they leave YouTube and then they think that my video is bad. So if you want me to put all these prompts, ChatGPT prompts, on Patreon, let me know and I can do it. So here's the prompt. Can you compare and contrast the connected speech, stress, and intonation rules between American English and, I'm going to say, Cuban Spanish, okay? Because this guy speaks Spanish and he's from Cuba. Please include word stress, sentence stress, and any unnatural habits that might carry through to English as a, insert your language and origin, this here, we're going to say Cuban Spanish speaker. And we're going to check this out. ChatGPT 5, this is the first time I'm using it. Okay, I'm letting it think longer. I like that, I think. It's going to give me a good answer. Ooh, all right. So it gives some of the reasons. The difference is between American English and the language that you ask. Okay, so American English, it's stress time. Content words have prominent stress. Function words reduce, right? So instead of to, you'll see ta. Instead of for, you'll see fur. Cuban Spanish is syllable timed, even syllable weight. Okay, okay. All right. So it also talks about like other things that are different. So likely habits in English, you might over regular this is a hard word, over regularize stress to pronunciation. Okay, that's what I thought I heard. I thought I heard pronunciation, but should be pronunciation. Asian. Like before the shin, it's Asian. This is stressed right before. Keeps full vowels. Okay. So, anyways, you could read this later. I'll actually, I'll keep this. I'll put this link. I'll put the link to this chat in my Patreon. Yeah, because this is really cool. This is really cool. Oh, this is really cool. Wow. Okay, this is pretty impressive. I didn't expect it to be this great. All right, so what I'm going to do now, I already primed my ChatGPT chat, okay? It knows to look for the differences. Now, I'm going to take what Douglas said. And I'm going to copy a few sentences. And I'm going to so there's no punctuation, and that's because that's how ChatGPT not ChatGPT, Word dictates. How are you doing today? So this is the first. I'm going to I like keeping it spaced out so it's kind of clear to ChatGPT and myself. So this is my practice for you. Check my accent when you have the chance. First of all, to my request. So I want to talk about. Okay. Good. Now I have a second prompt. And this is going to be, can you write these sentences out and put in capital letters where the stress is and put in bold what potentially might be a challenge or done incorrectly by a Spanish speaker, an Italian speaker, a Portuguese speaker, a Brazilian Portuguese speaker, whatever you are. Whatever you are, you can do that, okay? So I'm actually going to put that on top. And I'm going to switch this to by a Cuban Spanish speaker, because he's Cuban and he speaks Spanish. All right, I think this is going to be good. I'm a little bit nervous, but if it does not give me what I want, at least you guys can see how I navigate ChatGPT. Okay, I get a little nervous. What if it doesn't work out? But it's going to help you. Okay, so the text is rewritten. Caps is syllable or word stress in American English. Okay, bold parts. The bold parts that Cuban speakers might commonly produce unnaturally. Okay, and I think we should actually listen to this, but I'm going to say it correctly first. And I'm actually going to stop sharing just to see how you guys are doing. If there's any questions, I don't think there's any questions. No, you can ask questions and I'll answer them later, but I'm going to reshare this again. And when I say something, feel free to repeat after me. Even if you do not speak Spanish as a first language, this is going to help you really repeat after a native speaker and copy the intonation, copy the stress, the flow, right? So I'm going to go sentence by sentence and share with you guys how I do this. And if you were to do this on your own, it might be helpful to get a native speaker to read these sentences for you. All right. Hi, teacher Jessie. Douglas here. Hi, teacher Jessie. Douglas here. Hi, teacher Jessie. Douglas here. And I feel like you might say Douglas, but we say Douglas. Hi, teacher Jessie. Douglas here. I'm just going to read this here. All right. Next, how are you doing today? Oh, you know what? Yeah, it's time. It is time. I'm going to write some of this, like right on this. I want to make it really small. Gonna make it, I like purple. All right. Connecting, the words together. We don't say, how are you doing today? Which Douglas was fine. He connected it. But I want to just make this into a lesson. So when there is oops, why is this happening? When there is a consonant at the end, a consonant sound at the end of a word, and the next word starts with a vowel sound, is going to connect. And I'm just going to try to find out why this is disappearing. Oh my goodness. I thought this is fixed. Okay, whatever. We're going to do it. Okay, so how are, right? So that the W kind of goes into the next word. How are, or it could even be how were. So it could be are, it could be In connected speech, it'll turn into more of an sound. How are you doing today? And then the two turns into a t. Today. Today. How are you doing today? How are you doing today? Let's go up. Hi, Teacher Jessie. Douglas here. Hi, Teacher Jessie. Douglas here. Hi, Teacher Jessie. Douglas here. Hi, Teacher Jessie. Hi, Teacher Jessie. Douglas here. Douglas here. Hi, Teacher Jessie. Douglas here. How are you doing today? Today. We don't say today usually. Today. Doing. Good. Okay, likely challenges. I was going to say it feels like Douglas like it felt like it's overpronounced. How are you? It threw me off a little bit. We're going to listen to it right away, I think. Doing might be okay. Okay, yeah. So I'm going to actually say something because I didn't realize. Ooh, ing. There's a W in between. Doing. Doing. I didn't know if I heard that or not. So it's not doing, it's doing. Ooh, with a W, right? With a W. Doing. Okay. So this is my practice for you to check my accent. This is reduced. So it turns into a fur sound. This is my practice for you, for you. For you to. I know it's to when it's alone, but in connected speech, it's to check. This is my practice for you to check. For you to check. Repeat after me. For you to check. My accent. When you have a chance. Have a. See how it's connected? Consonant V, and then the A is unstressed. Have a chance. When you have a chance. When you have a chance. Right? Just repeat after me. Just feel what it feels like to speak with the rhythm of American English or Canadian, if you want to say Canadian. I'm Canadian, but with a more of a general North American accent. When you have a chance. Have a chance. Have a chance. When you have a chance. Okay, let's put it together. So this is my practice for you to check my accent when you have a chance. When you have a chance. Have a chance. So this is, okay, remember? Consonant connects. So this is my practice For, remember, for, not for. For you to check, to check my accent. And yes, you can say for and you can say to. But when it's in the middle of a sentence and it's just, it's just you're speaking like a native, it will generally reduce to for and to. If it's at the end of a sentence though, you will say for. So I could say, "What are you looking for? What are you looking for?" Right? At the end of the sentence, I will pronounce it as for, and I will pronounce this as to if it's at the end of the sentence. So if I say, "Who are you talking to?" Right? I'll say to. But if I'm going to say, I'm gonna talk to you, right? All right. I'm going to go to the next part. Mm, I'm gonna scroll down. I think we're going to just do these last four or the last three, 4, 5, and 6 examples, and then we're going to listen to him and just compare and contrast how I speak. And if you're listening, Douglas, you can listen for what doesn't sound like Jesse. So I'll say it. I'll try to play your clip right away after, and then you can try to compare and contrast. Okay. That's really how you're going to see what doesn't sound right. It might be difficult if English is not your first language, but it's uh, it's a good practice. All right. First, first of all, this is a V of all. First of all, you did really good. You did great, I think. I think you said wanna. Oops. Wanna. It'll be pronounced as wanna. First of all, I just want to say thank you. First of all, I just wanna, wanna say thank you very much. Sorry, I disconnected it. First of all, I just want to say thank you very much for your time. For, remember? For. And being able to reduce it to for instead of for, it's going to change the rhythm of your spoken English as well, which will help you, have more of that rhythm and intonation. So first of all, I just want to say thank you for this is hard to read. So, first of all, I just want to say thank you for your time and for providing, providing, and for providing feedback to my request. To my request. Huh? Instead of saying to my request, to my, to my, to my request. And for providing feedback to my request. Feel free to repeat. First of all, I just want to say thank you very much for your time and for providing feedback to my request. To my request. To my request. And for this is hard. And for providing feedback to my request. All right. I don't know if I heard this, but this is something that's very common for Spanish speakers. For first, making sure to pronounce st first. Sometimes, very often, I hear Spanish speakers say fur or first instead of first. You really want that T to pop, and you really want to pronounce that consonant cluster because in Spanish, I know consonant clusters. I don't think they exist. Yeah. Next. So I want to talk. I think you said wanna, which is perfect. Wanna, right? Instead of want to, which you can, but a lot of natives will say, sorry, a lot of native speakers will say wanna. So I want to talk about. So I want to talk about, notice how the K goes about. I want to talk about my learning process. My learning process in English. In English, right? So the consonant here kind of starts the next word, it sounds like. Do connecting it. I want to talk about my learning process in English. In English. Likely challenges. Okay, good. I'm not going to read the mistakes. Next. That's what I heard. Okay, I think I heard this mistake. It's not a mistake. It's not a mistake. I shouldn't say it's a mistake. Douglas, it's not a mistake. But if you want to sound more American, I would pronounce this T as a D, as a flap T. I think I heard started. I would say started. 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 Right? D, 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 like a D sound, a fast D. So I started learning English around 25 years ago when I was in my early 20s. Early 20s. Notice how I did not pronounce the T. I don't know if you pronounce the T, Douglas, but we will drop the T sound. Early 20s. In careful speech, you could say early 20s, but we generally don't as native speakers. Early 20s. So I started learning, remember the D? Started. I started learning English. I started learning English around 25 years ago. Years ago. Knows how it goes together? Years ago. I started learning English around 25 years ago when I was in when I was in my early 20s. In my early 20s. When I when I when I was in when I was in my early 20s. No T. When I was in my early 20s. I remember? I started learning English around 25 years ago when I was in my early 20s. Was in my early 20s. When I was in my early 20s. Okay. So my feedback. Hmm. Hmm. My feedback. What would my feedback be? Hmm. I'm gonna stop sharing here. Gonna get rid of this. Okay, so my feedback for you, Douglas. All right, my feedback would be, like I said, I say this to every English learner. One, just choose one aspect, one sound, one problem, one thing that you do incorrectly and work on it. Get feedback, work on it daily, get feedback, work on it daily. When you shadow, I don't know this, Douglas, you can actually respond. When you shadow, do you have an intention? Do you have a goal in shadowing, a specific goal? Answer me. Anyone who shadows, answer in the comments. I'm going to read it. Because it's good to shadow, yes, but when you shadow with a focus, when you shadow with an intention, so shadowing means like listening to a native speaker speak, repeating it exactly as they speak it, or as they say it, so that you could speak like them. Have an intention. Is your intention to focus on listening for the stress in each word? Is your intention, maybe you're working on the nuclear stress of like where the main stress is your intention to hear where things go up, go down, the tone, the pitch? Or is it maybe you want to work on your flap T, right? Instead of saying started, you want to say started. Or instead of saying like butter or water, you want to say water, butter. So when you're shadowing, you can listen for that specific sound, hearing when native speakers use it, and repeating it to create that muscle memory. So my goal. So just to recap, choose one thing, shadow with intention. What can you work on? I'll give you. I think I'm gonna say 3 different things you can choose from. One is I notice that you still make English mistakes, like obvious English mistakes. Native speakers make grammar mistakes. We do. I know we do. But there's a difference between mistakes that native speakers make and mistakes that English learners make. So a way you can do that is to get feedback from, let's say, like an English coach, or using ChatGPT, or what I think is best, because it's really by practicing that and getting feedback that you learn, is I have an app somewhere in the description where you can. It's not my app, but it's an app that I use for my French, for my Spanish. You chat with an AI partner, and you turn on the feedback function. I should put the link down below, and it will give you feedback. So when I chat with it, it will say, "Oh, this is wrong. This is how you say it. Oh, this is wrong." So by constantly hearing, "Oh, that's not correct. That's not correct," you're able to undo those bad patterns and, learn what sounds natural in English, or natural to a native speaker. So that English mistakes is something you could focus on. Um, hmm. I'm looking at my board here. I was listening, but I wasn't listening as much for specific patterns. Um, I know that when you said, I think you were trying to say fair, and I heard fur. There's certain vowel sounds. You can decide which vowel sounds you want to work on. Um, Maybe the flap D, but your flap D is pretty good. But sometimes choosing one sound could be nice to work on, that you've already mastered, just to have that confidence boost. But intonation could be a cool thing to focus on. I think intonation could be nice, but again, that's something that it takes time. Intonation and stress is something that's difficult. Um, I feel like I'm not giving as clear of of um, of advice as I could, but I know I've reviewed your videos before, so I think I'll leave it at that. Again, the English mistakes, for example, you said a 5 years training course. It should be a 5-year training course. Yes, you say it's 5 years, right? 5 years, because there's 5 years, there's multiple years. But when you use it as in the like the I think it's a compound adjective. I don't teach grammar. Okay, I don't teach grammar. I just teach people how to speak more like a native speaker. But it should be 5-year training program. So it's a training program, 5-year, 5-year. Good. So I'm going to end that there. If you're watching this as a clip, there should be a video popping up here where you can see other Judge My Accent videos. So feel free to click on that, and take care. And bye.